Hello, my name's Julian Hall from julianhall.co.uk, and I picked up on a news story on the BBC website a few days ago from political reporter Brian Wheeler, and the headline of the story was David Cameron says enterprise is the only hope for growth. Now, it was forwarded to me by a good friend of mine, and it really sparked my interest because I've been an evangelist on everything entrepreneurial, and I honestly believe that enterprise and entrepreneurship can help in the recovery of the economy and to help individuals with their income and to enrich the quality of their lives. It was very interesting that David Cameron put that statement forth in the political arena. However, given that I'm not a political expert by any means, I thought I would get my good friend, Andrew Okola, former president of the PNP Youth Organization from Jamaica, to kind of help me out with some thoughts on David Cameron's suggesting. Andrew, you there?
Yes. Hi. Good day, Julian. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Pretty good. Enjoying the wonderful weather on this side. Still missing the warmth and, wonderful weather of the tropical...
Of course, the tropical shores of the UK. Absolutely. So, just to kick it off, the basic premise David Cameron puts forth, and Brian Wheeler from the BBC News says that with no money left in the government coffers, the only strategy, in inverted commas, for growth is to get behind Britain's entrepreneurs, is what David Cameron has said. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, the basic premise, in terms of the spirit of it, is certainly unproblematic and is absolutely refreshing. In fact, there is common ground that the only way you're going to grow your economy is not by cuts and more cuts, but by ensuring that the creative and innovative sectors in your economy, chiefly the areas that are regarded as the main for entrepreneurs, are the areas that get looked after, get attention, and is kicked into action. So in a sense, it is very safe, and it's certainly the wonderful thing to do and the wonderful intention to have, to be focusing on entrepreneurs at this point in time, because, as again I would say, you can't cut your way out of a recession. You have to grow your way out of it. And entrepreneurs certainly provide that spark and that added energy that is needed. However, let me just say that it is certainly at odds, if not highly paradoxical, with the present or the overarching comment coming from the government bench, which is to cut, and cut more.
Right, and I think that kind of resonates with what a lot of entrepreneurs have been feeling for a number of years, and I've been in conversation with lots of different companies, entrepreneurs, big and small, who don't really feel that the government has their back, as it were, and whether it's getting funding, whether it's getting access to various resources and grants and expertise and advice, that it's a bit difficult. It's not as easy as it sounds. And Labour has accused Conservatives of lacking a strategy for growth and really just going for headlines. Would you agree with that?
Politics and politicians is as politics and politicians are. I'm absolutely sure if this comment in terms of the focusing on entrepreneurs came from the Labour bench whilst they were in government, you'd probably hear the same thing coming from the opposition, who then would be the Conservative government. The fact is, it must be judged based on the truth of its content, and that is where you have to look at it. What you can say about the Tories in terms of grabbing the headlines and lacking strategy, and I guess if you go even further into the article, is that it is consistent certainly with their ethos as a Conservative Party, as a capitalist party, if you want to see a party that is far right, is probably a better view of looking at it, and a party that, as it were, in some corners are not as socially effective as probably the Labour Party is. In that regard, I think the Labour Party would be looking at it as, well, look, this ought to be a move for great social engineering, and they possibly think that just the utterance sounds very flat and will fall very short of what is required. So against that background, whether or not this suggestion is directing us in a path or along a path where we believe it's an effective method of social engineering, and it will be backed not just by talks of the government, but will be backed by solid action, then it is yet to be seen. And if it's not backed by solid action, then I would just say, like them, it's about grabbing headlines.
Well, I mean, Andrew, let me ask you, right? You know, in this article, David Cameron has been quoted as saying that at its beating heart, the Conservative Party is one of startups, go-getters, and risk-takers. Now, you know, you mentioned a good point. You said that the words are great, but it'll be the content of those words that will form some kind of reassurance, really, to the British public and to the entrepreneurs out there who need this kind of help. Do you see any proof in the content of what the Conservatives are doing or have been doing to prove that they are a party that will back these startups, these go-getters, and these risk-takers?
You see, if you take it from a philosophical position, this is possibly where you have to look at it in terms of, first, whether or not you can trust the word, and then you can look at it in terms of reality, whether in reality it does mean something. Philosophically speaking, those words would be consistent with a conservative government, simply because, I mean, the philosophical position is to the right. Theirs has always been the materialistic party. The risk of being labeled the materialistic party is simply to say that, look, it would be a party that is devoid of social fabric. And that would lead you to a party which focuses only on markets and not on people. And as it were, being the party of startups and risk takers and all the other niceties that were said, are being looked at through the corridors of the market, but not from the people. I will simply say, look, it is the people who must guide and govern the market, not the other way around.
Right, so you're saying that really, no matter what David Cameron says, the onus, or at least part of the onus, is in the hands of the entrepreneurs that he's making that call to.